this shit.
And I'm Kristie.
Fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. Just fuck this shit, and I'm Chris. And
I really hope you had that at full ball in
God,
your car
I hope
on the way to work.
Church.
Just pulled up outside of church, ready for a peaceful Sunday. The priest is there waiting to welcome you in, and he just hears, fuck this shit.
Look, normally,
emanating from your car.
Look, normally I would be calm. I'd settle down. I'd work out the flow of this. I'd tell Leo, our dog, to shut up. I am happy for him to make as much noise through this as humanly possible. That is the MasterChef we all know and hate.
That is the biggest steaming pile of turd that we have seen on MasterChef, and that is saying something.
They have worked so hard this year to restore their reputation and to fix it up, and at the end of the day, they had to justify Simon.
Yep. How can we keep our straight white male in this fucking thing just to increase our chances of having a straight white male win?
Simon admitted he did nothing. He admitted it. He said to them, it's a bit meh if you ask me. It's not really a dish. He walked out and went, I'm going home. And before anyone goes, we're not attacking Simon at all. That's what we're saying. Simon walked out and went, nah, I'm going.
Yeah.
He thought he was going home on this one.
Patriarchy in action, really. A white man kind of produces one mediocre kind of thing, thinks it's a bit shit, but other white men are just like, this is wonderful. You're fucking awesome. What are you talking about, bro? Like, it's fucking awesome.
So, look.
Put your penis out there. See how pink and white it is. Oh, look at that. So white. Oh,
so here's
white schlongs everywhere. Just white penis.
So here's the thing.
Big white balls. Little white balls. Hairy white balls. Just white genitalia.
So
pink bum holes.
So here's the thing.
Okay, I'll let you rant now.
I'm trying to steer this while sick, so I can't really steer into the skin.
Yes.
We're going to work backwards because we can't, build to this. We have to get this out of the way. We have to fucking... And also, to be honest with you, there's not a fucking lot out of the last 3 days. This is some of the 3 of the most mediocre days of MasterChef, I think, in the entire 11 seasons.
I mean, the Heston opener really set the tone for this whole week.
This has been terrible. And the last 3 days were some of the most meh cooking, finalised by a last dish, which its own maker said was meh, and they went, but what a beetroot sauce. He said, I don't have a dish, I don't have elements, I'm going to make a sauce. I'm going to put some figs on a plate. I'm going to try a twill. Well, that didn't work. I'm going to try... Well, that didn't work. I'm just going to put them on the plate. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't really have a dish.
Oh, but let's not forget that Sandeep made what Sandeep usually makes and made it well, but, fuck that.
Now, we've been critical all the way through of the fact that Sandeep hasn't stretched himself and hasn't done anything different.
Yeah.
But...
he's played safe. And
we've also said
a night to play safe.
But we've also said the judges have spent the whole time saying to Sandeep, you keep making your traditional dishes, you keep doing this, you keep doing
Indians,
this.
We love your
so
Indians.
Sandeep did exactly what they've told Sandeep to do the whole way through this competition. Now, while we might disagree with the idea of him doing that, that is what he has been told to do. That is what the judges have instructed him to do. He's done it again, and they send him home partly on the basis of, you didn't really stretch yourself. Why aren't you stretching yourself?
Because I'm in an elimination and I don't want to produce shit dishes.
Which is what he said. He said, I'm sorry if this isn't up to your standards. I'm worried about stepping outside my comfort zone and going home. This is comfortable for me, and especially when I'm trying to make something that's refined, sugar-free. And we'll come to a rant about that in a minute too, but it's for the minute. For the minute. We're going to stick on this. Tati has made the same thing she's made over and over and over again, complete with banana leaves. That poor tree...
Look, it's still got a few left.
Oh, I can't have that many left. I mean, even all of them in the kitchen were going, oh, your stock standard.
Not stock standard. It was your
trademark.
Your trademark leaf there, Tati.
And as a lot of people pointed out who listened to the last podcast especially, she copied your mum.
She did. Pineapple boat.
Pineapple boat.
She's just... I mean, she couldn't use it because they have refined sugars in it, but glacé cherries and spear mint leaves, and we would have been floating along on the SS Alice.
So basically...
My mum's name's Alice, that's why it's called the SS Alice.
So basically, Simon admitted he didn't have a plan.
Yes.
Simon admitted he hadn't actually done anything, really, that he'd thrown a couple of elements together on a plate. By the way, they said the problem with Tati's was it just felt like he threw a few things on a plate. She had a fucking dish. Simon literally threw 3 things on a plate.
Tati went to the trouble of making a pineapple boat. Yeah, a bit naff, but as I'm with Christina, you know, it's all about the presentation, and pineapple boats are just bloody lovely.
So Simon did exactly what they criticised Tati for doing. And they loved it because they decided that sauce covered everything. Well, it only had to cover 2 other fucking elements, and one of them were figs. He didn't do anything. Like, oh, we need you to elevate for a top 10 dish. Smear some fucking... I saw a whole pile of people talking about the fact that I'm trying out for MasterChef next year because I can make fucking 2-minute noodles. And clearly that's all you need to be able to do. You know what? We've got some fucking chocolate topping in the cupboard.
You're sorted.
If I go and smear that on a plate and maybe drop, I don't know, an apple on it.
Yeah.
Let's drop an apple on a fucking chocolate smear. Guess what? Top 6. I'm making the top 6 with that shit.
You are. I really think my mum should audition because she does she would have gone really well tonight. Because my stepfather's diabetic, so she makes a fruit cake, and this is literally a cake out of fruit. So she gets a watermelon and slices it into like a round kind of cake thing, and then sticks toothpicks of fruit. It's all about the toothpicks.
And I once made a red velvet cake with choc chips through it.
Looking like a watermelon.
And then with green fondant to symbolise the outside watermelon skin.
Yeah.
So
it would have been great if our oven didn't
break halfway through it and we had to get the oven fixed. But still, be that as it may, the idea was there and the idea was solid. Now,
okay, sorry, I shouldn't interrupt you with rants and more anecdotes about my mum. Oh, here's another anecdote about my mum. So every morning, basically, I talk to her.
Does she make a breakfast panna cotta? Does she make a breakfast panna cotta? Because speaking of panna cottas, I mean, apparently Sandeep makes the same thing over and over again, but there's been 15 million fucking panna cottas this week and no one bats an eyelid!
But my mum takes her dog Minnie out for a walk, right, and then will report to me what food Minnie finds on her walk. Like, it's amazing around my mum's park. Like, there'll just be a half-eaten cheeseburger. But you can keep ranting. I'm just going to interject with, like, anecdotes about my mum. Go. Sorry.
How many panna cottas do we need to see in a week?
Minnie's a schnauzer, by the way.
Before the judges decide that maybe we've seen too many of them and we need to tell people, I don't know, you're not really stretching and you're making the same thing over and over again and you haven't really tested yourself.
And she's a miniature schnauzer, that's why she's called Minnie.
So we've seen more panna cottas this week than I think we've seen, and we've seen a lot of them over the history of the competition. But I don't remember this many panna cottas ever. It's not real. Like, it's not a thing. Like, nobody eats that much panna cotta. No one.
It's a really interesting story because Minnie was originally my older sister's dog. So she got her as a puppy around the same time that I got Leo, and they'd play together and stuff. And anyway, when my older sister, I think, divorced her or was separated from her husband, you can rant if you want to. Okay, so when they got divorced, just telling my whole family history here, then Minnie went to live with one of my sister's friends. Now, there was a really unfortunate event. Not going to go into it because it's pretty fucking terrible.
So Simon fucking replicated Abby's philosophy of, I don't actually have a dish, I'm just going to throw some elements and we might work something out after this. And so that didn't really work for Abby and they told Abby off for it, but apparently Simon is praised to fucking high heaven. The problem with tonight is the problem with MasterChef all the way along, which is that it's not about the contestants, and the contestants are not to blame for any of this. When we talk about, we're really fucking angry about the fact that Simon got through on a piss-poor dish, that is not a shot at Simon. He didn't put himself through. The judges put Simon through. The judges told Sandeep to keep doing the same thing. Sandeep may have changed had they advised him to do something different. The judges put Sandeep through and all of that, and then the judges sent him home for the same thing that they kept putting him through for.
Yep.
Tati made the same thing over and over again because the judges go, we love it when you make this. Guess what? She made it again and they went, we're not really sure you're stretching yourself out there. Derek made another fucking panna cotta and they're like, that's great. That's brilliant. Guess what? Derek's going to make another panna cotta at some point before the end of this competition and they're going to go, are you sure that's elevated?
Yeah, so Minnie ended up in the pound, and we found out, and my older sister couldn't take the dog because she was renting it, but my mum's like, you know what? And mum's other dog had just died not long ago, and she was a really cute little Pomeranian, very, very silly, because she was a teacup Pomeranian, and you'd go, roll over, Tiffany, and Tiffany would just turn around chasing her tail. It was quite funny.
So let's talk about sugar, shall we? Because this is really fucking important. The judges tonight decided to make everyone in Australia feel bad about eating sugar. Now, everybody who's watched Bake Off knows that Free From Week, which they did on Bake Off, which is clearly where they got the inspiration for this from, Free From Week involved no refined sugars, but instead involved things like fructose and natural sugars, which are, I don't know if people are aware of this, the same fucking thing. If you are diabetic, it's the same fucking thing.
Very true.
We have seen, again, on Bake Off, they made, for those who haven't seen The Great Australian Bake Off, what the fuck are you doing, by the way? If you haven't seen The Great Australian Bake Off, in the last series of The Great Australian Bake Off, we had possibly the largest trifle ever made in the history of mankind. If you were diabetic, it was sugar-free. Now, if you were diabetic and you ate that,
you're dead.
You'd be dead, because it's full of fructose. And George is there and like, look at all these natural sugars that exist. It's the same fucking thing, George.
Because, like, our friends who are on keto, they can't eat a lot of fruit because it's still sugar. So, yeah. But getting back to it, so Minnie was at the pound, right? So we went to rescue her, and she was very sad, and she didn't recognise anyone. And then she recognised my older sister, and she's like, holy shit, where the fuck have you been? Because it's been, like, around 3 to 4 years since she went to live with the other lady, and she had a really awesome life. Like, she was running around horses, and it was just really cool. And so Minnie was in a very sad state that she recognised Michelle, and then we took her to the poodle parlour, and, you know, obviously the RSPCA does as best as it can, or the pound does, but please still get on. And she was like, you know, when the blood comes out. So afterwards she was like a bloody glamorous. It was like rags to riches for this dog. Rags to bloody riches.
It even got to cover up the fact that I made a fucking Neil Diamond joke tonight. And, like, I was very proud of that when Derek was making his crunchy granola. Sweet. Good Lord. I was so pleased with it. On the plus side, there is a line in that song which is great. There is a line in that song which is spectacular, and it's very appropriate. It's the line in the song is, I know a man who's out of touch. I know 3 of them.
Yep.
3 of them. And but the problem is they do say much.
Yeah.
Diddly dee 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 diddly do.
So it's a happy ending story. So Minnie's gone to live with my mum, and
Minnie got a happy ending.
She did. In the non going to a massage parlour way. You know, she gets treats and walks every day. So I get in-depth updates of what Minnie's up to and what food she's finding, because she's very good at finding food and keeping my mum on her toes, which is good for mum because she's hurt her knee and now her hip's sore. So I'm hearing all about that and how she can't have endone. I can't have the endone, Kristie, because it just makes me sick, and it makes me sicker than the pain in my hip. I'm like, oh, okay. I might need a hip replacement. So that's the next thing for my mum.
So on the first night of these 3, we had, I can't even remember what the first fucking challenge was, but I remember that Tim won it. And I remember that Tim made it into the immunity challenge, and he had to pick nuts.
And he's gone, oh, nuts, just
as you did it, which made me feel bad. And
I'm like, oh, no.
Look, I'm
becoming Tim.
Yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Stone the flaming crows.
I'm just looking up. I'm just having a look at the moment. I'm going back through my notes because I need to go and check.
Wacko the diddly-o.
Either my notes or the guy who copied us.
Did you know that's something my mum says too?
Wacko the diddly-o? I'm not surprised. So, well, that's right. It was ice cream night. I knew I blocked it out of my memory for some reason. It was a booze. It was all the booze from drinking. God, this week's been a heavy drinking week. Like, it's not enough. Like, clearly it's not enough. I'm not coping.
My thing is everyone hydrate over the weekend. Just up your water, maybe a bit of electrolytes. Just let yourself hydrate. Important.
So the real important part about this whole thing...
And have some glucose, because it'll actually fix you, like actual proper glucose. Like, not tons of it, just a few jelly beans.
So the important part about the ice cream challenge...
Save the liver.
The important part about the ice cream challenge was that Ben really won it. And Poe even said that Ben was doing a really good job, but the rest of the judges all smashed Ben. And then Poe had to sort of pretend that she didn't say that Ben's was really good. And then they had Tim's, which was his ode to his wife, and it was popcorn.
With Maltesers.
Fucking revolutionary.
Because none of us have done that before, Tim. No one else here goes to the movies and goes, you know what? This salty popcorn fucking tastes good with a bit of sweet stuff in it. None of us grew up with a mum, my mum, making a little special treat, had a bit of caramel in the middle, made out of carnation milk, and it was hard and sticky, and then she rolled that ball around some popcorn so the popcorn stuck to it, put some chocolate over the top, a few nuts. It's delicious. Never heard of it before. Chocolate popcorn.
So Ben picked walnuts. The chef came out. It was the one who beat Kirsten last year.
And who was fucking
beat Kristen
nice.
last year. And she was absolutely lovely.
Cannot remember her name. She
came over. She came over at one point and actually tried to help Tim. He's like, "You can't help me. You don't want to say it."
Kate.
Yeah.
Kate.
And she was absolutely lovely, and she absolutely kicked his ass.
Ray of fucking sunshine.
Wasn't even close.
No.
Absolutely fucking decimated. That's all you need to know. And I'm not joking about that, and that's not because I'm pissed about tonight. Literally have zero notes about the first challenge. There was nothing in it.
No.
Absolutely nothing. Second challenge night. Team challenge.
Sorry, my brain is still getting bored by it.
Bit of a different story. So the second team challenge night is a rehash of the Aram challenge, as I refer to it as.
Aram! The Great Wall of Aram.
Aram. It wasn't as good, and it wasn't as good because we didn't have Carly screaming out Aram.
I know, and they tried to make Derek a thing.
That didn't work. But okay, so here's the problem.
Yeah.
So they had all the different pairings that they had in this challenge. So we had Anushka and Derek, we had Larissa and Ben, we had Nicole and Christina, we had Simon and Sandeep, and Tessa and Tati.
You know what my mum would call Nicole and Christine? The Bobsy twins.
You know what I would call them?
What?
Station. So if you've seen Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, there are the two creatures, Station, that are the greatest scientists in the world and in the universe. And they help Bill and Ted to come back. And when they get to the competition and they're trying to work out how they're going to get in and stop Chuck Denomalous from taking over again, Station, then the two little things walk away and they run into each other and create one large station.
Oh, we got to get Mecca Kristie Nicole.
Yeah, so it was
Nicole,
it was Nickers and Tina, which sounds like
Nicotina.
It sounds a hell of a lot like a burlesque routine. Nickers and Tina.
Panicotta.
Put the crumb on. And then we had Anushka and Derek. Now, Anushka, I think, was a bit confused. So she starts out by calling Derek son.
Derek started off going, I really want to do something simple, blah, blah, blah. And Anushka's like,
fuck it.
No. You're going to listen to me, son.
So, but then, like in the
you're going to listen to me, son?
No, but in the challenge, like when they're on the other side of the bench.
I heard. She said...
She wants over to the bench, she goes, son. And then later on she calls him Simon. And eventually she calls him Derek.
Yeah.
But when they do the cut back, she calls him Derek. And then they cut back to the kitchen and she's yelling at him, Simon. It's like, wrong person, Anushka. Simon's next to you. Derek was like, I like this. This is great. She's really taking control of the situation. And I want to know what the fuck they measured. Because apparently they measured...
The shards. Look,
no, again,
Anushka's obviously got my measuring, technique.
Derek yells out, how long is your shard? How wide is your shard? And I yelled at the TV, now cough. And, although it was also the other thing that came to my mind with the... How wide is your shard? How long is your shard? How loose is your goose? Our goose is totally loose. So
come on, all you hoof fans.
Come on, all you hoof fans, and shake your caboose. And shake your caboose.
Gantry, get your fucking act together. Where are you, choreographed cheers?
Ironically enough, this is the one challenge that Tim would have been fucking perfect for.
I know, he would have been telling the other person on the other side exactly what was going on.
Narration is his trick.
Yes. Bush poet Tim.
Narration is his skill. So
Yes.
now, Larissa and Ben.
I love a sunburnt gantry. A kitchen of sweeping plains. Of ice cream makers and slow cookers. Oh no, pressure cookers. Of hibachis and George's sweat. Doesn't rhyme, this one.
You're not really a bush poet, are you?
I'm more of a poet about bush.
Oh, fucking hell.
Both the presidents and the vagines.
Ain't no man.
Come again. Back at the ranch. Where were we? What were we doing? We were yelling through pots.
What I was doing was about to critique Ben and Larissa, who somehow managed to fucking make it through, and good for them, and yay Ben, but I don't know how. Because, so they stand there to come up with the idea of what they're going to do, and they come up with a basil panna cotta. First of all, fuck you. Second of all.
Third panna cotta this week.
Second of all, they come up with the idea, they separate out to do it. And by the way, they said that the problem was that like they were only allowed to confer in the pantry, and then once they left the pantry, that was it. And then they made a big deal about 15 minutes in of closing the pantry. You couldn't go back.
No.
What was the big deal with closing the pantry 15 minutes in? Once they all walked out, close the fucking door.
Yep.
Nothing to do.
No.
So, Ben didn't really listen to Larissa for most of it. But the most critical element that went wrong was Larissa's panna cotta cooled and Ben's didn't.
Yep.
If you watch it on replay, what happened was Larissa put us in the freezer and whisked it in the freezer to try to chill it faster, and never bothered to tell Ben that's what she'd done. So Ben is doing his on the fucking countertop, using ice, but on the countertop, and couldn't work out why his wasn't setting as fast as Larissa's. Larissa did a step and didn't bother to tell Ben what it was.
Yep, got to be equal. I mean, they were there taking so much care, like weighing out how much basil's going to go in, like weighing out ingredients. Yet this thing that was going to make the difference, and as Anushka said, it's not just the amount of ingredients, it's the hands. Well, the hands got a bit handsy by themselves. Instead of like mutual, they were just over there playing with their own panna cotta.
We also had said Simon and Sandeep, so they come together for a meeting, and they're talking about doing something simple. And Sandeep had one of my favourite moments of the entire series last night, and it was Simon looks at him and goes, "I know what I want to do. I want to make Eat and Mess. Have you heard of it?" And Sandeep cocks his head and goes, "No."
He's like,
and it was very matter. Normally with Sandeep, he's like very inquisitive when he asks. He's looking at me, "No. No, I haven't ever heard of that." And at one point, he calls him Mishmash at one point.
Mishmash, yeah.
Mishmash. Mishmash. And
Tim's like, "You're making pavlova." He goes, "I'm making a mishmash."
And he goes, "Oh, you mean Eat and Mess?" And he goes, "Can you spell it for me, please?" And Simon's like, "This is really easy." And Sandeep's like, "I've never fucking heard of this.
Never seen it, don't understand it."
And when they did the judging, they said, the fruit's good. And you knew you were in trouble at that point.
Now, what I found interesting is that they could have made a mini pavlova and use the same kind of things, because the whole idea with that is then you could go, okay, we're going to draw the pavlova base to be a certain diameter. You could, pipe the, in a ring, the pavlova base, so it would look similar, and then you could work out the decoration to be similar as well. And with an Eat and Mess, there's so many different elements on the plate that have to be positioned. That's going to be trickier.
So there were a couple of smart moves that we saw. We saw Christina and Nicole made a tart in the tart case, and then agreed to cover it with the crumb, because they went, if we cover it with the crumb, it doesn't matter what's different on the top, looks the same. Clever. Well, they didn't get the
twirl on.
While they didn't get the top of it right, and the biscuits were different.
Oh, the ramekin.
Idea of serving the creme brulee in a ramekin, genius, because it meant that everything was the same. There were benefits to doing things like that. Eat and Mess was a dumb idea, which ended up sending Sandeep home.
It was really he really became the black guy in the white guy movie. The black guy who's the good friend who has to be sacrificed in order to save the white guy, and it's fucking shit. It's just shit.
So just quickly, Christina and Nicole did a really good job. And
getting so angry now.
Christina and Nicole did a really good job and nailed theirs. And that was quite easy.
Hulking out. Okay.
The other one that went through for the challenge was Ben and Larissa. I still am baffled. So Ben at one point goes, I don't have the time to leave this in the freezer any longer. It didn't work. And then the second one, which he obviously left in the freezer a bit longer, worked. So the answer is, Ben, you did have time. It was like last night. The other one that was weird was when we had Anushka, who decided to yell louder than anybody in the history of the kitchen, which was great. It was so awesome to watch.
Good on you, Anushka.
Anushka turns around at one point and yells at him, Derek, is your tweel okay? Is it brown? There's no white bits. And Derek goes, yeah, no, it's fine. It's brown. There's 2 fucking large white patches right down the middle of it. And Derek's going, yeah, no, it's perfectly brown. There's no white spots whatsoever. It was all fucking white spot.
Yeah, well, he's just pretending to have the confidence of a mediocre white man. Good on you, Derek.
It's the best way to survive.
My highlight, because I was there doing my polyclay last night. I've become a hobby lady. Yeah, I'm finally fucking middle-aged and suburban. So, is it Nicole or Christina? I can't remember. One of the Nicotinas. Came over.
They're definitely Nicotinas now.
The Nicotina has gone, a tablespoon of cinnamon. And I just yelled out, 2 or 3 egg whites. Put it all in a bowl, baby.
Stir it with a wooden spoon. But no, the Nicotinas were great last night. The Nicotinas were wonderful. They deserved to go through.
Yeah.
Probably Ben and Larissa did deserve to go through.
Look, I really wanted to see Larissa safe. She, for me, is a real... she's the one that's flying under the radar,
She's got some really good ideas. I want to see
her elevated.
I actually want to see her rein them in a little bit. This is a focus on a couple of elements.
Okay.
Because she always tends to go one element too far.
She's a bit of a flora.
Also, I'm worried about her because this week is kind of what she's good at.
What?
Desserts.
Oh, desserts. Okay, and what's going to happen next week?
What's going to happen next week? Well, I know what's going to happen next week. Massimo fucking Bottura.
About fucking time.
If it wasn't for Massimo Bottura, there's a very real chance I wouldn't watch next week. Massimo Bottura is going to save this show for me. So,
yeah.
Let's get into some of the feedback we got, because we asked for people to give us some feedback. We asked for people to talk about their favourite thing from this year, their least favourite thing. I get the feeling that tonight might appear a lot. We also asked them to tell us about who they thought was the most underrated person in the series this year.
Yeah.
So Brandon, our friend, Brandon Black, tweeted out, my favourite moment of the season was seeing Ben blossom and come into his own after a rocky few weeks. Least favourite was when Abby didn't step up and failed epically as the team captain.
Hey, but she stood by those appliances.
Which was good. Josh said most favourite was Ben finally not being in elimination. His least favourite was Red Team's shit show at Hanging Rock. And his underrated contestant was Tati. Brandon also agreed with Tati. Timberwolf, favourite moment was last night when Anushka cast aside her last fuck to give and started ordering Derek around like a drill sergeant. Least favourite, the Timberwolf could only unfortunately narrow it down to 3.
Yeah.
Simon acting like a dick to Anushka in the picnic challenge.
Yep.
Matt's fucking Sinclair abusing Waleed in his time as team captain and acting like a big fucking hero when the pep talk turned things around.
Yep.
And when Anushka's team collectively dumped her in the shit during the picnic challenge. Miss Natsky tweeted back, anything to do with Tati. I love her and her accent is super adorable.
Yes.
It was very Moose and Squirrel last night, especially since they were making chocolate mousse.
Moose, Derek, Moose.
Victoria tweeted out to us, my favourite has been seeing Poe and Billy as mentors. My least was with Matt Sinclair going ape shit during the challenge when Waleed was captain and when Tim cooked a practically blue steak and came back into the competition. Victor Chan tweeted to us the least favourite moment was the forced theme weeks. How many times can we say legend or secret? And one of my favourite Twitter names, Garfield Lasagna, said Tim saying pork and prawn over and over was simultaneously my favourite and least favourite moment of the season.
It's hilarious and you can't stop listening to it, but you still want to slap him in the face with a dead tuna.
You still want to slap him in the face. Now, also we asked, well, before we get to this bit, favourite moment, least favourite moment, and most underrated contestant.
All right. Most underrated contestant, I think, is Larissa.
Yep.
Because if you listen to her talk, she's an actual fucking foodie, and I love it. Okay. Favourite moment? Christ. I'll come back to that. My least favourite moment, I'm Timberwolf. I couldn't fucking stand Matt Sinclair's bullshit with Waleed. I also couldn't handle Simon being an absolute toolbag to Anushka. And I'm going to have to say also Matt basically creeping out. Was it Nicole or Christina? No, it was Nicole when she was doing the cook. Or was it Tessa? Who was doing the immunity pin cook? And he was like staring at the oven. Tessa, that's it. She had that. Staring at the oven and just being an absolute toolbag. And it's basically like, oh, I want an immunity pin. No, Tessa won it. I want it because I'm Matt Sinclair.
My favourite thing this year...
Yeah.
And I think Victoria said this, somebody said this, I can't remember who it was, but whoever it is, I apologise that I can't find your tweet.
Yeah.
Poe and Billy.
Yes,
my favourite thing. They've been absolutely brilliant. And seeing Elena.
Yes. Oh, yes. That came to my mind.
And seeing Elena, they are my favourite things so far this season.
Yep.
My least favourite thing, and again, I'm excluding tonight because that's obvious.
The judges.
No, my least favourite thing was the fish cooking at the State Library Challenge in Nigella Week.
Fly, my pretties.
When George Columbaris was 100% right in grabbing plates and walking back to the chicken.
Yep.
The chicken, not the fish. Where he walked back to the kitchen and was 100% right in walking back there. Also, my favourite thing this year was watching Steph, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Watching Steph cook was great fun.
That was also one of my least favourite things. Yeah, because it was going home.
Chaotic. My most underrated.
Yeah.
I get the feeling there's a lot more to Monica. I felt really bad that we lost Monica really early.
Too soon.
And I just get the feeling, like from what we saw in her audition dish, for example, I kind of get the feeling that Monica's pretty damn good, and I think we missed out completely just by the virtue of the type of challenge that she went out on.
Yeah.
We also asked what you would like to see for the top 10 in terms of challenges. Now, Brandon was back on again, because of course he was. We love you, Brandon. I always love the challenge.
So much.
He goes, I always love the challenge where they have the 4 mystery pantries that are revealed one by one at 15-minute intervals.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great way to test time management. I always love that one too, where it's like you can have this one right now, it's only got fruit and veg on it, and you get an hour and 15. Mm-hmm. The second one, you 15 minutes later, it might have chicken on it. Yep. Next one might have beef, and you're waiting to see what you get. I like that challenge. I agree with him on that one. It's a good one. A certain mum that is a recent mother, Miss Elena Duggan, tweeted, dietary requirements...
Mama Duggan.
Dietary requirements addressed. Innovate classic recipes to be inclusive for diverse consumers.
Great idea, because I think that is going to be a more effective reflection and more appropriate to the to the audience
than sugar bashing.
Because you haven't done anything apart from going, hey, fruit's got sweetness too. Let's use that. Let's not use refined sugar. Yeah, and as we've already discussed, still a fucking sugar.
And Elena was actually on the Free From Week episode we did for Great Australian Bake Off, and we talked about this, the idea of that's not really the way to do that. What again, and things that people didn't really notice was that Elena's dishes that she made all the way through the competition had dietary requirements that are all gluten-free, right? Yep. They were gluten-free the whole way through, but she didn't make a couple of them. But she didn't make a big song and dance about it.
She didn't want to be the gluten chef. Oh, the gluten-free lady. But the thing is that's something that affects a lot of people, and I think that could be a really cool thing, particularly if they do like a masterclass with someone who's like really skilled in that. I don't know Elena, who might be able to talk them through it and have the other judges, show how like George might convert a traditional Greek dish to being like gluten-free or dairy-free or something like that.
Good luck with the feta.
But you know what I mean? They can use
nut feta.
Salty nuts.
Nut feta. I came up with nut feta.
It's just salted mush nuts, really.
It is salted mush nuts. So there were some really good bits of feedback there. Any other challenges you'd like to see? We've already talked the other day at length about the 48-hour slow cooker challenge.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Or, as I said, Robert Harwood talked about the other day, the idea of, or as actually Steve Malk talked about the other day on the little podcast I did with Steve about ratings.
Yeah.
Barbecuing has become a thing, and that long, slow cooking.
Do a pitmaster challenge.
Do a 48-hour pitmaster challenge where you put it
Yep.
on a spit and go, come back in 48 hours and we'll see what you've done with it. Mm-hmm. That'd be really cool.
Yep.
Do something a bit more involved and a bit more technique-driven.
Yep. I'd like to see one where they bring back the old contestants, and maybe when we're down to the top 4 or top 5, and each of them get 2 past contestants. They can, take a pick or whatever, pull a knife, take a pick, have 2 additional people, and they have to run them in a challenge. You know what I mean? And it's more about organising and what can you produce when you've got a team, and because that's one of the techniques that they like to always talk about is how would you work in a kitchen, communication, this, blah, blah, blah. So
now that'd be really good. So
also maybe a nudie bake.
No, I don't really.
Just a nude up challenge. Everyone go to a nudie farm. Why would they call it a nudist farm? Why can't it... nudist colony. Why do you have to colonise as nudists? Why can't you just be... nudist people? Oh no, they're really good. They're acknowledging, because nudists are usually white people, that they're colonisers. So they're just acknowledging, we're here on traditional land.
Nudist colonisers.
Nudist colonisers.
Talk about planting the flag. Anyway, so you did it, not me. So a couple of things to plug before we're out of here, because we did say it wouldn't be a long one tonight, but it was going to be vicious. Now, we have a Patreon. We talked about that the other day. There's a couple of ideas that we're working on in terms of things that might go up there. I had a few people message me with ideas, things I've sort of thought about before, but this could be really good. So got a couple of ideas like that. Also go back, and if you check out on the feed, I did a video the other night where I did make the loon croissant. It was an interesting time for all concerned.
It was great to come home to. That's all I've got to say.
Yes, Kristie came home to it. You could hear her in the background at one point telling me to eat up Buchanan.
Yep.
And yeah, it was interesting. It was fun. It was actually not as disgusting as I thought it would be, in all honesty.
It's not elevated, really.
I was fucking elevated from what the croissant was for originally. Give you that much for nothing. But yeah, it was, that was really good fun. We might do a bit more of that moving forward as well, so just keep your eyes out for that. We also have opened up our Spreadshirt shop.
Yeah.
There is merchandise.
With proper graphics. We got, you tell the story.
So
I'm just tired.
No, well, I'm not really going to tell the story that much, but just what I am going to say is a massive shout out to a couple of people. First of all, a massive shout out to, I referred to him the other day as the secret...
Harwood.
Yeah, Harwood, or sorry, Robert H. So Robert Harwood, friend of the show. Friend of the show.
He's a brother of the show.
My brother from another mother. So Robert reached out to us and said, look, rather than doing anything with the Patreon, I've got a friend, we were talking about some logo ideas and designs for shirts, and he goes, leave it with me. If you go to www.facebook.com/resgraphics, RESGRAPHICS, that's who's done all the new logo stuff that we're doing for all the merchandise. It's also the new logo up on some of the socials. We're going to keep the podcast one the way it is because it really stands out. But that logo,
a bit more professional.
That logo goes so much better on merchandise than a really clouded sink full of dishes. So thank you very much to Res Graphics out there. It was really good. And again, check them out if you want any logo design done. Really, really effective. And thank you, Robert, for the guidance and advice on that. So you can get a bunch of stuff. There's shirts, there's hoodies, there's mugs, there's tote bags. You name it, it's out there.
Get it on a condom.
If you want to, go for you.
Have a laugh here.
I was about to say.
Get your rocks off.
I was about to say, if you want to do some modelling.
Safe.
I was about to say, if you want to do some modelling for us, that'd be great. But then Kristie said, get it on a condom. And I don't really want that coming back to us, thank you. So, But anyone else, if you buy a shirt, you want to do some modelling for us, let us know.
Whack it on your todger. Oh, it's so late and it's so Thursday.
This is what happens when the episodes are shit and I'm sick and can't steer out of a skid. So with that in mind, we're going to leave it there for tonight. It's not going to be a long one, but it is going to be interesting. So until next week when we actually get fucking Massimo Bottura to save my love of this show, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
Catch you all later.
Moose and squirrel.